What's up, my dear brothers and sisters in the Lord? I hope you're all doing well. Now, in today's video, I'm going to share a very important message with you. This is a revelation that was received by someone, and she sent this revelation in for me to share with you concerning the mark of the beast. Yes, the mark of the beast. I know you probably have heard this before. The Bible has said everything, but there are certain things that were not mentioned in the Bible. That is why day in, day out, sometimes even God has to remind us through visions and revelations. So anytime God gives us messages like this, we do not have to sit on it. We need to bring it out for people to know. This sister, based on her revelation, has said that God has given her a deep insight of the mark of the beast, which most people are not aware of. And this is why I want to share it with you. So I'm not going to waste much time. I want you to relax and listen to this message. Before then, I want to give you an update of our missionary project. Just like you've known, in the year 2025, we are still going on and on by the grace and the strength that God has given to us to proclaim the gospel and to bring it out to the lost brothers and sisters so that they will also be able to know Jesus Christ and receive salvation in him. And with that being said, as you can see on the screen, these are videos of what we have been able to do so far in the year 2025, moving from villages to villages, moving from one country to the other, moving from one city to the other, finding our lost brothers and sisters. I believe this is the most important thing that God is expecting from us, not for us to go to him all the time to be asking him for our basic needs, but rather let us also be mindful to pray for our lost brothers and sisters. So we have been able to go out there to win a lot of souls this year, and we've been able to share the gospel with them. We've been able to share Bibles, gospel tracts, food items to the orphans, the widows, and the needy. So if you are watching this video and you're interested in joining us, it doesn't really matter your location. You can pick up my email address if you want to volunteer to join our missionary project. And also, if you have any Bibles, gospel tracts, food items, and health facilities, just feel free to pick up my email address in the description section of the video where you can ship in these items. If you also don't have any of these things, but you would want to support us through finance, you can pick up a link in the description section of the video where it will take you to our donation site where you can donate any amount to support our works. And I know and I believe that God is richly going to bless you. Now, please pay attention as I proceed with the reading of our dear sister's story.
Hello, is this the right contact for the Great Miracles team? Please, I am here also to share my experience. This is concerning the mark of the beast. I watched one of your videos recently about a sister who had a similar experience as mine, and this has prompted me to share mine also. I was among the individuals who had the wrong knowledge about the mark, just like many other Christians and even non-Christians out there. Many Christians believe a wrong teaching of the mark of the beast. In this encounter of mine, God showed me the true meaning of the mark of the beast, and a secret was revealed to me concerning where the mark is going to be placed in the human body when the era fully comes. I pray Christians will take this message seriously and get ready for what lies ahead for us believers. My name is Evelyn. I never imagined that an ordinary evening in my house would be the last I'd know of life as I had always known it, in the month of March, which was last year. I remember I was cooking. I was very close to the gas stove when I got a call on my phone. While I was talking, I just didn't know what happened. Then the flame flared unexpectedly. For a split second, I froze. Then everything exploded. The blast knocked me off my feet. And when that explosion happened, everywhere was filled with smoke that I couldn't see. The smoke made it hard for me to continue breathing, and my sight became blurry. I tried to move. I also tried crawling across the floor, but my body felt heavy. The smoke wrapped around me, filling my lungs with every breath. I coughed strongly, gasping for air, but there was none left. My arms trembled as I dragged myself, for couldn't search for a way out. I could feel the life slipping in from my body. I reached out one last time, but my strength gave out. Darkness then came over me. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't where I expected to be. I found myself swinging above the scene. Below me, the kitchen was in ruins. I could see everything, but I was far away. I saw all the flames still chalked along the edges. My body lay there. I saw people in uniforms, paramedics. I saw how they were pressing against my chest, trying to pull me back. I watched them shout instructions to each other. It felt distant, like watching a scene from a movie. There was no pain, no fear, just quiet. I knew what was happening. I could see them fighting to save me, but part of me didn't want to go back. At that moment, I wished they would stop and let me go. Yet, something held me there, as if I was being drawn towards something I couldn't see. Suddenly, everything changed. I then saw myself. I stood in a big place. All around me were countless of people's souls. I realized this on my own, but no one spoke. They walked in silence. I turned to the nearest person, but they didn't notice me. None of them did. It was as if we were all alone, even while surrounded by so many. I then felt something pulling me forward. Without thinking, I followed the others. The path ahead stretched into darkness. There was no sense of time. The souls around me kept moving, their eyes fixed ahead. I wanted to stop, to turn back, but I couldn't. Something unseen was pulling us forward. Then I saw a man. He was among the wandering souls, but he stood apart. He produced a very high light, brighter than anything I had ever seen. Instantly, I knew who he was. There was no question. It was Jesus. As I stood frozen, he turned and looked right at me. The crowd of souls kept walking, but he reached out his hand. At that point, I didn't hesitate at all. I grabbed his hands. The moment our hands touched, I felt peace, so great and absolute. He began walking, and I also followed, his hand still holding mine. We walked until we reached a massive wall. It stretched endlessly in both directions, dark and impenetrable. I stared at it, unsure of what lay beyond. Then Jesus raised his hand, and suddenly I saw this. Beyond the wall was a place I always struggle to describe whenever I am sharing my story. It wasn't just darkness, it was absence, no hope, no love. I saw souls trapped there, crying out, their faces depicting agony, but no one heard them. I found myself looking down at the earth. It was as if I was floating high above, watching people go about their daily lives. Everything seemed normal at first. People walking down the street, shopping, talking, and working. But as I looked closer, I noticed something strange. Some of the people had a mark. It wasn't obvious at first, but once I saw it, I couldn't look away. Some had it on their foreheads, dark and clear, like a brand burned into their skin. Others had it on their palms, as if they had willingly accepted it into their hands. The mark itself wasn't made of ink or paint. I could sense even from where I stood. I watched these marked people closely. At first they seemed normal. They laughed, talked, and moved through life like everyone else. But the more I watched, the more I realized something was missing. Even when they smiled, there was no truth, no light. It was as if they were shells, walking through life with no sense of purpose. Then I noticed something even more terrifying. The mark wasn't just a symbol, it had changed them. These people weren't just separated from God, they couldn't feel Him anymore. It was as if the connection between their souls and His presence had been severed. Even if they wanted to repent, they couldn't. The desire was gone, like a flame that had been put out, leaving only darkness behind. I looked around and saw more of them. Some stood in crowds, yet looked utterly alone. Others wandered, as if they were waiting for something that would never come. They didn't seem to care. They looked at their loved ones with cold, detached eyes. I saw churches were empty. People with the mark walked past them without a second glance. The love for God, the longing for His presence, all were gone. It was as if the very thing that made them human, the part that could love, hope, and believe, had been stripped away. The worst part wasn't their silence, it was their acceptance. They didn't fight it. They didn't cry out for help. It was as if they had made their choice and were now unable to feel anything beyond that decision. The mark had done more than the separation from God. It had changed who they were deep inside. I turned to Jesus because this was so heartbreaking. Why? I asked, though my voice barely came out as a whisper. He looked at me with such sorrow, such deep sadness, that it made me want to fall to my knees. He didn't need to speak. I understood. They had chosen this path. The mark wasn't forced on them, it was offered as an option, and they had accepted it. At that moment, I wanted to scream, to cry out, to run down and shake them, begging them to wake up, but I couldn't. I could only watch as they walked further and further away from the light, sinking into a darkness that would never let them go. And then everything faded. That's when I got to know that I was in the hospital. Believers, we are living in a time where choices matter more than ever. Every decision we make is shaping our hearts and determining the path we are walking. The enemy is cunning. He doesn't always come with horns and fire. Sometimes he comes with comfort, convenience, and promises of safety. He whispers that it's just a little compromise, just a small step away from God. But those small steps lead to a point of no return. Now is the time to stay awake. Guard your heart. Don't let the distractions of this world pull you away from the one who loves you more than anything. Don't be fooled into thinking you can live. However, you want and come back to God whenever it's convenient. There will come a time when the door will close and the choice you've made will be final. Stay close to Him. Pray like your life depends on it, because it does. Read His word and let it fill your heart. The world may mock you. It may pressure you to follow the crowd, to take the easy road. But remember what I saw. I saw souls who had lost their way, crying out in silence, cut off from God's love. Thank you.
All right, God bless you and thank you very much. I believe you clearly heard what was stated in this sister's revelation. Now, I believe that you now understand the consequence of taking the mark of the beast based on what was shown to her. Those that had taken it had nothing to do with the Lord anymore. And it is quite terrible, because just look at the relationship you have with God now, and a time will come where you allow yourself to take this mark and you would have nothing to do with the Lord anymore. It's actually not going to be good for us. So please let us try as much as possible in a way to stay away from receiving the mark of the beast, no matter what happens. And we do not know what the future holds. I strongly believe that this message is going to help you. Please share this video out with your friends and family so that they may also receive the message of the Lord. God bless you and thank you very much.